Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. This is where I just go off script and I just casually review something that I've been consuming. Today I'd like to talk about the new 2DS XL and the game I played with it, which is Donkey Kong Country Returns. As for the 2DS itself, I really like it. I know during my initial impressions review, I was complaining about how lightweight it feels. I'm gonna go back on that. I really appreciate how lightweight it feels. I still think it feels cheap, like cheap plastic, but I do like that my hands don't get tired after holding it for more than like 20 minutes, like my old 3DS used to do. I like the screen, I like everything about it. It is a little skinnier than the original 3DS, so it fits in my pocket a lot easier. It's about the size of like two smartphones stacked up on each other with maybe just a small hinge attaching them. It's really not that bad, especially when you compare it to the original 3DS XL. Overall, I'm pretty happy I bought it. As for the game itself, Donkey Kong Country Returns, this is a port from the Wii version, and my past DK experiences are I played the Super Nintendo version, never beat it. I only really ever got to the first land. I was pretty young when I first played them. But so I didn't get that far in the Super Nintendo version. I did play Tropical Freeze on the Wii U, the original version of the game, before it was ported to the Switch. It was like $20 because it was Nintendo Select. So I played through that and I had a really good time with it. I know it might sound weird to say, but I think these are better 2D platformers than the Mario games. I just think that they are a little more exciting, a little more unique, a little more vibrant, flowy, more controls other than just run and jump and maybe some power-ups. In this one, you have like a roll, you have a slam on the ground, and in Donkey Kong Country Returns, you can blow wind. I know that sounds weird. You can like crouch down and then you blow wind out of your mouth to spin propellers and things like that. I think they took that out in Tropical Freeze. It was maybe 2 years ago since I last played it, but I don't remember that control. So I think the game creators themselves realized how weird of a move that is. Like, let's let Donkey Kong blow wind at something, which I guess they kind of implement a little more near the end of the game when you fight like fire guys. You can blow out the fire. That makes more sense. But for most of the game, I wasn't using that at all. Well, that's not true. There are like plants on the ground that you can blow and spin, and you can get like collectibles from them. That's a good transition to the collectibles themselves. Throughout each level, there is a letter, K-O-N-G, and these kind of act like the golden coins in Mario. I did actually collect all of these through all the levels. And when you do that, you get a extra bonus level that is typically more difficult than the regular levels. At least most of them cause me some grief, and there's no checkpoint, so they're a little tougher. Then along with the Kong letters, they are also puzzle pieces, and they just unlock images. So if you collect all the puzzle pieces in a level, you'll get a concept image or something like that. At least it's something, you know? I didn't go for all the puzzle pieces, but I did get all the Kongs. And after you do all the harder levels, you get an orb for each one. And then you do a golden, like a really hard level. And then you just get like a mirror mode. So, you know, at least it's something kind of fun to go for. As for the story itself, basically these tiki things are coming onto Donkey Kong's island, and they can hypnotize all the animals with their tiki musical instruments, and they're also stealing all the bananas. So I don't know what it is about these bananas on this island. Everyone is trying to steal DK's bananas, and he just wants to sit on a pile of bananas and eat them and be happy, but people won't let them. So I can really relate with Donkey Kong. It's not much of a story, but at least it's something. I think for 2D platformers, you can't really expect a real in-depth story, or at least I haven't come across one yet. DK sounds dumb. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I know he's a monkey, but let me try and imitate him. Woohoo! Oh, doo-hoo-hoo. You know, it's just dumb noises like that. I really like it when he actually like roars and sounds ferocious, because that's how you feel when you're playing this game. You feel really strong. You can like punch things and break them up, and like, but his dumb voice, I can't get over it. I know that's sounding nitpicky. I touched briefly on how organic and floaty and lively these games feel, but that does come with kind of a complaint, is the hitboxes don't seem that fair. I feel like a lot of the times I would get hit by something even though I feel like it shouldn't have, or, you know, sometimes it works in my favor. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I don't know how I made that, but I did. So the hitboxes are just kind of wonky, I guess, which I guess that's just what happens when you go for these more organic feels instead of the tile grid of Mario Maker. If you kind of have to worry about the hitboxes. I think that's just a give and take thing. The colors in this game, I know they improved this on Tropical Freeze, but just a lot of plain levels, you know, a lot of jungle and temple, a lot of brown. The music is pretty generic. I was expecting better songs because in Tropical Freeze there was a lot more variety, but in this one it's just it's like the rezzed up versions of the Super Nintendo music. It's the da 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 da. While that's a pretty good song, it's the same songs, same colors. It can get a little boring after time. It's a lot better in Tropical Freeze. This problem they did not fix in Tropical Freeze, I know. Sometimes when you find a hidden barrel or a hidden room, they will put you in this room full of bananas and a time limit, and you have to collect all the bananas within the time limit and you get rewarded a puzzle piece. But these rooms repeat themselves, and I think there's only about 4 or 5 different rooms, so that can get pretty repetitive when there's like 2 of these rooms on every level and you are going for all the puzzle pieces, which, you know, if I saw them, I'd get them, but I'm not going to scour every level looking for the puzzle pieces. But if I see a hidden barrel, then I'll do the room. It's just a shame that they didn't add a little more variety, because they are fairly simplistic. I don't think they'd be that hard to design like 10 more of these banana rooms. The highlights of these games for me are where you're riding in the cart or when you're in the rocket barrel. I think those levels are really fun, really creative. Like, I just like how the world forms around you as you're riding in these carts. They're not quite as on rails as you would think. They really have fun ways of keeping these levels interesting and exciting. Granted, some of my most frustrating moments are on these kinds of levels, but I think it's worth it. You can also get Diddy Kong to go along with you, and he makes things a lot easier. He has this jetpack that makes you float down a little bit. Sometimes it's kind of like the Mario power-ups. When you're struggling on a level a lot, it kind of helps to go to the store to purchase DK barrels to get Diddy Kong. I know that's going the easy route, but sometimes you just need that extra float. It just makes the game so much easier, especially for those temple levels that are meant to be challenging. Diddy Kong goes such a long way. That brings me to Cranky Kong's shop, and I really like the dialogue that Cranky Kong has. He says funny things like, in my day, we didn't need parrots to help us find unlockables, and that's for an item that you get a parrot and he'll show you where secrets are. Or he'll say like, make sure to close the door on the way out, I didn't raise you in a barn. And he'll just say silly comments like that. I actually think he did that in the original Super Nintendo as well. That's the only way to unlock alternate paths, is you buy this key at Cranky Kong's shop, and then he'll just take you on an alternate path. And I really wish this was more akin to the Mario games, where depending on which pathway you take in the previous level, that can unlock secret paths. It's a lot more exciting than just buying a big golden key and going that way. This game can get pretty brutal, and I admit that I got pretty frustrated at times. It's weird because if you have Diddy Kong, you get 6 hits before you die, but a lot of things are just insta-death as well. So as far as running into enemies goes, it's pretty forgiving, but it can be pretty brutal, especially for those cart and barrel levels that I mentioned previously, it can get pretty tough. And I definitely would recommend some 2D platforming experience before you go to this one. They have an option where you talk to the pig with glasses, and he will have a white Donkey Kong show you how to play. Basically, like, here's how you do it. And it's like, no, I know how to do it. It's just my reaction times aren't that fast, you know? Like, I know which way to go. It's pretty linear. If you're not as versed in 2D platformers, I definitely recommend getting a little bit of practice before you jump onto this one. It can get pretty taxing. But that should be all for this review. You know, I really actually like this game. It's not as good as Tropical Freeze, but still fairly fun as far as 2D platformers go. I think I'll give this a score 4 out of 5. I think that's a very fair review. There were a couple nitpicky things that I had with it, and as far as the settings go, it was pretty boring, but don't get me wrong, it's a really fun game, and if you have the means to play this game, I certainly recommend it. So that should be all for now. Let me know if you have any questions about the new 2DS XL or Donkey Kong Country Returns, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for listening. Bye!